Christopher Kennedy Lawford has been an actor, an activist, and most recently an author, writing about addiction. His latest book is called Recover to Live, Kick Any Habit, Manage Any Addiction. Pretty hefty title here and that's why you have three names. Christopher Kennedy.
I got to carry
What happened?
the
You used to be
book,
Chris Lawford. What happened here?
I know. I got known by this moniker, and now I'm stuck with it. So what am I?
Are you related to any of the Kennedys or the Lawfords?
Allegedly, yeah.
Allegedly.
Back there, yeah.
Welcome back. It's great to see you again.
It's great to be here.
You've written this book, and you're taking on, I call them the seven deadly addictions.
Yeah, that's right.
And let's go through the addictions so people know what we're talking about.
Alcohol, drugs, sex, gambling, food, tobacco, and hoarding.
Hoarding
Hoarding is actually in the DSM.
If not for the reality shows, would you have included hoarding?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of people present. The thing about this is, the reason I did this book, Steve, is because there's a lot of people out there selling stuff that's not credible.
Right.
And because of my brand as a UN ambassador, because of my family legacy, because of the work I've done, because I'm clean and sober 26 years, people trust me to give them good information.
Yes.
So I interviewed 150 of the smartest people in the world about these illnesses.
That's what's great about this. You've collected the information.
And this is the first time that all of it is in one book, and it's not dogmatic. People can pick this book up wherever they are on the continuum. They can look at it, they can see where they are. There are 22 million people in this country who have a chemical dependency. There's 60 million people who have a non-dependent use disorder. That means they're having problems, but they're not an alcoholic.
Non-dependent use disorder.
Right.
We know a lot of people like that who maybe drink a little too much.
That's right.
They're not fall down.
That's right. So they don't have to
functioning.
stop necessarily.
Yes.
They can just moderate it. They can see where they are, and there's some techniques and some tools in this book.
Let me also say, when you talk about it, you don't come in with an ideology so much. There are chapters in here where basically you say, like you raise a question, is acupuncture effective?
Right.
And you talk to the experts, and you come away still saying, I have to make my own decision on this.
That's right.
Because there are some who say it's very effective, and there are some who say, well, it's not, right?
Right.
You were very open about that.
Absolutely, and you can try it, and it may be effective for certain parts. It focuses people on their treatment protocol. It may not do much in terms of alleviating symptoms, but it may focus them on their treatment protocol, which is important.
Every person is different.
That's right.
And every addiction is different.
That's right. How have we got, pardon me for interrupting, but how have we gotten, you talk about a continuum, the shame continuum.
That's the big deal.
25 years ago, if you were drunk, it was a shame on the family. It wasn't a disease. It was a moral failure.
Right. We're getting there. And the science that we have now with the brain science is so compelling that once you read some of the studies that we've done, and you see that this really is centered in the brain, it's hard to blame people because it really is a brain illness. Now, people go, they could just say no. They can't just say no.
Right.
And the stigma, this is the #1 public health issue in the country. We're not dealing with it because of the stigma and because of the shame. And we need to get over that in order to help people and also just stop costing us so much money.
You have one of your relatives, Patrick Kennedy, wrote one of the prefaces to the book. And he had his problems, and there were very public problems driving around at night. And
that's right.
If his name were Patrick Jones, nobody would have paid any attention.
No. And like many people in my family, he turned that experience into something positive. You know, he left Congress, but he has now his organization that works on mental illness in the brain, and it works with veterans. And him and I are doing a lot of this in New York together. We're doing book signings and appearances together. So, I come from a place where you take what you know, and you take the things that are hardships in your life, and you turn them into something positive.
Do you have a genetic destiny that you couldn't fight?
I was genetically front-loaded. As I say, addiction doesn't run in my family, it gallops. So I definitely do have, but as we know from the studies, an adolescent who suffers trauma in their adolescence, who has a genetic front-loading for this illness, is much more susceptible to it. There's millions of kids all over the world who have no culpability here, who have, trauma from nothing that they did, who are much more susceptible to this thing and develop it later in life. And are we going to punish them?
Right.
The answer is no.
You were just saying even today there was a study that kids who were born in the 80s during the recession are more prone to drugs and alcohol.
Absolutely. And all it is about there's an elephant in everybody's living room, and let's talk about it. Let's open the windows. Let's deal with it.
Let's talk about this elephant. You got a lot of friends who smoke dope, right?
Right.
Is that a precursor? Is that, you talk about the intermingling of these 7 things?
They always call the dope or pot a gateway. Dope,
well, I'm not so
mean,
sure about that, but what I will tell you is the 2 most devastating addictions on the planet are alcohol and tobacco, the 2 legal substances.
legal
Do we
ones.
need another legal one? I don't know. If 6 kids smoke pot, 1 will smoke it chronically and obliterate their ambition.
Yes.
Okay, so, and an adolescent's brain isn't fully developed until they're 25.
Right.
So
in Los Angeles, 32.
Right, 30. This is true. So these are concerns of mine. So I'm not for legalization. Plus, the pot that, as Nora Volko, who's the head of NIDA, said to me, the pot that they're smoking today, Chris, is not the same pot you were smoking.
Yes,
25 years
but
ago.
by keeping it illegal, you're making something criminal that
I believe we need to decriminalize.
That shouldn't be criminal, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I want to change the. I thought this was like a drug fantasy I had, because suddenly I looked at a clip. Here, watch. You'll see what I mean.
I don't think this mugshot does me justice. I think we should have Rose send over some of my old 8x10s.
Charlie, come on, this isn't funny.
Lighten up, Erica. I'm sure somebody somewhere will hire a hardened ex-con.
Oh
Okay.
my goodness!
And look at that tie.
That tie and that shirt. Oh my!
Tie, very
Where did
flashy.
you get that, Steve?
We called Susan Lucci. She sent it over.
Oh, lovely, Susan. Thank you. Thank you for that.
If we looked at you then, 1992, that is 22 years ago. You were clean at that point.
I was clean and sober.
You're 4 years.
Yeah.
Then at 4 years, it was still a tough thing to do, or not?
Not at all, no.
Really?
Well, the interesting thing is people interview me all the time. They go, do you mind if I drink? And I thought, if I minded if you drank, I would have killed myself a long time ago.
Okay.
Because this is not a hard thing to do. Recovery is amazing. Recovery is a gateway to a life beyond your wildest dreams. People who are drinking and drugging, who think if they put those things down, their best friends down there, not going to have a life, are mistaken. They are going to have a life that they can't believe.
But you make a good point that no matter how low people go if they are addicted, the high is still a high.
That's true,
Yeah.
but for most people that have this illness, it stopped working a long time ago. They're chasing something that happened,
Chasing that original high.
thing that they never get again, or
And
very
what
rarely.
you quote Richard Dreyfuss, who said,
We're all trying to touch the hand of God, and addicts are remarkable people who can do remarkable things in recovery. And I need more of them, and I hope more of them out there will stand up and say that.
you are tonight going to be at Barnes & Noble at 3rd Street at 7 o'clock.
On the promenade in Santa Monica, yeah.
You're going to be signing books.
I will be
talking to
signing
folks?
books and talking to folks.
You going to bring that tie with you?
I'll bring the tie if Susan will send it to me. Yeah.
Always great
You
to
guys
see
are the best.
Good to
Thank
see
you.
All right.
It is so good talking to you.